Some people just had slippers on and everything.
All of them had basically all of them had guns on them. All they was wearing all black, yellow FBI thing, the hat and everything. Yeah, boots, regular, the regular gear that the agents wear. They had the face mask. Some had the face mask. The person that busted through our door, he had the face mask, and he was the first one that came in with the gun. There was two of them, just in case. I guess they started shooting or something. He had the gun and everything. Two of them out the door, and that's when everybody was swarmed in. And they were like, "Wait, don't move!" Cause we got up like scared. They just busted the door, and they ran through the door. Everybody was like, "Ah!" That's when I guess I kind of put them like, "No, don't move," cause they know if we were doing nothing. A few people try to hide.
That we was like, "What's going on?" And that's when there was like, Mr. York is in jail and Kath Johnson, and then all of us just start crying in tears and stuff like that. They said because of molestation. We was like, molestation? He never molested nobody.
I first got involved in this case the next day following the arrest and what I can only describe as an invasion of Tama-Re. Myself and another brother who accompanied me came to Tama-Re, and we asked the rebels who were at the gate, was there anything that we can do to help in the case. We was, turned around by the brothers, and we were told that they didn't need no help at this time. And from that point, we were just observing news media reports, press conferences that was conducted by the sheriff of Putnam County, as well as the bond hearing. And we had gained certain observations that I felt at the time were very detrimental from a news media point of view against Dr. York, from a judicial point of view against his presumption of innocence. And at that point, I had got some research down in reference to the federal laws that were used against Dr. York. I was also looking at certain acts, Child Rights Act, Crime Act, as well as the Mann Act. And when I looked at all these acts, I decided to write an 11-page presumption of innocence. At that time, I felt that Dr. York's presumption of innocence was being eroded in the press as well as in the courts. And so I wrote this presumption of innocence, and I tried to come up to Tama-Re around 2002 to present my findings to the Nuwaubian community.
I became involved in the case. A brief history of it. I knew about the arrest of Dr. York in 2002, and from my office in Athens at the time, I had my office located in Baxter Street in Athens. In January of 2003, I read that Dr. York had pled guilty to the charges on a federal and a state level, which was surprising to me when I read that in the newspaper, the Athens Herald. And then about 6 months later, I read that, well, it was a concern to me because it was an allegation of a plea bargain, but I know in federal court you can't truly enter a plea bargain to sentencing. In the state level you can. Because there's what they call a pre-sentence investigation report. So in January when I read that, it sounded a little funny, but nevertheless in June of 2003 I was reading the paper, and I found that the judge had in fact rejected it at a federal level, the plea bargain at a federal level. And at that point I knew Dr. York was in big trouble, because it was about 6 months of publicity stating that he had pled guilty. And I remember telling one of my staff members, I said, how in the world are you going to get a fair trial now?
I knew this was all a big plot, and he didn't want to fight this case because he made a deal with them. Took over $1.5 million, as I'm told by my sister, in cash money from our tribe, and laughed at it and didn't even use it. Never intended on having a trial, but intended to put their bogus plea. But they knew I wasn't going to take a plea, so they had to torture me into taking a plea.
Now, in that torture, you were, what was the experience that you learned of the other co-defendants?
I was told that they were being treated the same way I'm treated. That means I was sleeping on a concrete floor with real poor bad food, wasn't getting my medication, watching rats and roach bugs and stuff, in the midst of very dangerous criminals, both gallery, fights breaking out, people getting stabbed, suicides. I watched 4 or 5 people commit suicide. I was put in the middle of a riot up in Atlanta, and some guy hung, some Italian guy from the mafia supposed to hung himself. When there was a riot between the Florida boys and the Georgia boys, all this is going on, the black Muslims of, you know what I mean? And I said, yeah, these kids are subject to that. I knew the sheriff how it just feels, right? Guy names these 2 young ladies, which is Sandra Lamkin and Khadija Merritt, out of an AEO magazine that we put out. That's the only people in this case involves 3 people that's in a magazine. That's where he got the names from. He got Johnson's name because Kathy Johnson is standing behind me in the magazine while we're advertising Egyptian attire for our lodge. Those 2 girls are being described as looking exactly a replica to the ancient Egyptian deities, right? So that's where he got the Sandra Lamkin, Khadija Merritt, and Kathy Johnson to put the case. And he figured they'll torture them. If I think they're tortured, I know that Kathy suffered from MS, which is a very, very dangerous disease. I said, they're not giving me my medicine. Hers is brain deterioration.